Fresh out of game two with a 2-0 lead. Game literally just ended. I think Jalen Brunson is still probably doing his TNT post-game interview right now. Magnificent, electrifying, just wonderful game to be a part of as a fan. 2 games away, 2 wins away from being in the Eastern Conference Finals. And this team just continues to replicate what they've been giving us all year long. All of my Knicks fans, I know how y'all feel. Obviously, it feels good to be winning. But the way that we win, the way that we play, the comfort that you have as a Knicks fan throughout the course of a game, even when things don't look the best, is just a feeling that I wish every fan could have when watching their team. Because I know there's some fans who watch, and it's like when your team down 7, you already know where it's going. Or if this guy got to go to the locker room, or your best player has to miss a quarter, you already can understand the type of turn the game is going to take. But when you have a team like us who continues to just fight and battle and scrap and just stay even keeled throughout the entire process of a game, is really refreshing and encouraging to watch throughout the course of a game, and to see that for 82 games and then to see it translate into the playoffs and now in the second round with so much going against us. The first few things that I'll address is obviously losing Mitchell Robinson was big in a lot of different ways. There are certain things that Precious gives us, especially when you talk about guarding that pick and roll with TJ McConnell off of the bench, that I prefer. But you can't deny the rim protection at times, because he was still hobbled a little bit, Mitchell Robinson, and then the offensive rebounding. Those, and just the rebounding in general. It's hard to replicate that, and you're going to miss the rebound. And as good of a rebounding team as we are, offensively and defensively, Mitchell Robinson adds to that. And anytime you lose that, you kind of like, damn, and that's another big who has 6 fouls in case somebody gets into foul trouble or anything like that early. Luckily, we went against the Philadelphia 76ers in the first round, and we had Mitch, where I think he was much more needed. And now I think this is a series where Precious can be a little bit more valuable. So you already an extra man down at the rotation. We lost Bojan in the last round, so he was the second guy off the bench. We lose him. Then, obviously, at the end of the first quarter, or towards the end of the first quarter, losing Jalen Brunson with the foot soreness. Something that looked like he knocked knees or something happened where he got hit in the thigh. Never in a million years that I think that the report would have came back about his foot. The fact that he didn't play in the entire second quarter was something that was glaring to me. You know what I mean? When he first went back, didn't think anything of it. Thought he was just going to come back to the bench to be checked in and out type process. But when he sat out that entire second quarter and then you go into halftime, you kind of are, bracing yourself for some maybe not the greatest news. I still, as frustrated and as kind of unfortunate as it was looking for my team to compete. And I think we did a really good job of that. And that's why I mentioned at the beginning of the video why it's important and why this team is so fun to watch. Even if you're not a Knicks fan, just to see how much we battle and how much we get through adversity no matter what. Because I can only imagine some of those guys being on the floor watching the Pacers start to take advantage of Jalen Brunson not being out there. In that first quarter, we had, an 11-point lead, I think it was, where we started to really gain some separation. And to see it kind of, crumble away when I think the Pacers went on an 11-0 run, 14-0 run, something like that. When they were getting that run and start getting their mojo, and then you lose Brunson and we're not aware of what's going on with him, that could be a time where a team crumbles. But there were certain parts in that second quarter where you got guys stepping up really big. I think Josh Hart taking responsibility to ball handling duties. I think OG, who obviously later left the game with the hamstring injury and didn't return, he really stepped up in that first half. That was a monster first half from him, and we needed every single bucket that we got from him. Dante DiVincenzo, obviously, Isaiah Hartenstein made a lot of different plays tonight. But that second quarter was the most important part of the game for me. To not allow that team to really, really take even more advantage, because they took advantage. They did exactly what you do when a team loses their best player. But for us to make the shots that we made and to keep it, respectable, Miles McBride made some shots and made some plays, was really encouraging. And so when I saw Jalen Brunson shooting around at halftime, it gave me all the confidence in the world that we were still going to win this game, because we fought enough, and then you put him back into what we were doing and how we started the game, and you saw how good the Pacers played because he wasn't on the floor. Once I seen him, I said, okay, we still got this game. One thing I will address with the Pacers, as a fan first, My favorite thing in these first two games is when the fourth quarter comes and they take out TJ McConnell and Obi Toppin. I don't understand why Rick Carlisle is so dead set with the TJ McConnell thing, especially in a game like tonight, where I like Andrew Nembhard. Y'all know that. Andrew Nembhard is one of my favorite young players, young guards. Been a very big fan since he was at Florida. Eventually goes to Gonzaga. I've talked great about him. Because he's not necessarily, you're not stopping Brunson, but he's not slowing him down either. And there is a night and day difference, even when Brunson is scoring. Again, with the amount of work TJ McConnell forces Jalen Brunson to do. Jalen Brunson uses a lot more energy when TJ McConnell is guarding him. Again, Jalen Brunson is going to score. He's going to get fouls called. He's going to get to the free throw line. He's going to make tough shots. It's not about necessarily stopping him, because at this point, nobody's been able to do it. You're probably not going to. But to make him work, again, is night and day versus what Andrew Nembhard is doing versus TJ McConnell. That's just one side of the basketball floor. I understand TJ McConnell is not a three-point shooter, but also when he is coming off of that pick and roll and he is getting to that mid-range spot, he is a great example of what basketball people talk about with getting to spots. He is getting to spots and he is executing, and it's opening up a lot for himself and for others. And it's like to the point where he gets to a certain spot on the floor in that mid-range. If you've watched both of these games like I have, you know exactly what spots I'm talking about. And if you're a Pacers fan who've watched TJ McConnell all year, you probably know exactly what spot I'm talking about. It's like money. I'm surprised when he misses it. It's damn near like a free throw when he gets to that. I'm just expecting the points to just pop up on the board because he's going to make that shot. And then you also take into effect the 12 assists. I mean, he gave you a double-double in 22 minutes and was a plus 10. And everybody else in the starting lineup was a negative. Obviously, that's not me saying that he should be playing minutes over Tyrese Halliburton or anything like that. But I do think you have to, if you're Rick Carlisle and the Indiana Pacers, you have to look at some of these things. Obi Toppin, for whatever reason, he is a major threat out there. Knocking down corner threes. The athleticism. I saw him get an amazing offensive rebound in the second half where he just got it over two people and just went up. He gave you 20 points in 20 minutes, 7 to 10, 2 of 4 from 3, 4 of 5 at the free throw line. Took the second most free throws out of everybody else on the team. I think you have to try to get him out there. I know it's going to be a little difficult because it's like, damn, if you do that, you're not taking away minutes from Pascal. So are you going Halliburton? Are you going with a lineup that's going to have Miles Turner, Siakam, and Toppin out there at the same time and make it be a little clunky? But, I mean, you might have to start trying to do something because the two guys who I'm fearing the most, or the three guys outside of obviously Tyrese Halliburton, are coming from your bench. Ben Shepherd is making the Knicks pay whenever they leave him open in corners. Obi Toppin is making the Knicks pay whenever they leave him in corners and by attacking offensive glass and just using his athleticism to score buckets. TJ McConnell defensively, full court pressing, is making Brunson and other guards work. And then also TJ McConnell on the opposite end in his pick and roll, getting to his spots and being a distributor of the basketball, is making, some incredible plays. And I wonder how much he could alleviate some things for Tyrese Halliburton, who a lot of times we've seen feels the need to get everybody involved and be a pass-first guy. But we see they're going to need him to be aggressive, right? Granted, they were in the game really, really all first game without him scoring and being aggressive. But, I mean, even tonight, the 34 and 9 that he gave them, they needed all of that. And I think the more aggressive he is, the more things will open up. You know what I mean? And we saw him give up the ball, and it eventually found its way back to him. And I think with him shooting the ball the way he did, 7 of 11 from 3 at a 63% clip, TJ McConnell could then take some of that responsibility off of him, bring the ball up, get into some shit, get into his spots, pick and roll, and he can play off of that. You know what I mean? And maybe alleviate some things for him. I also think Ben Shepherd should be getting a little bit more minutes. And again, I understand it's easy to say that in hindsight, but these guys are just like in these first two games, just as a fan and as an analyst, I'm looking at them when they exit the floor, and I'm saying, yes, thank you. Fourth quarter, hurry up. 9-minute mark, 10-minute mark, 8-minute mark, hurry up and get TJ McConnell off the floor. He's doing way too much. And I thought at some point in tonight's game that he would come back in to close the quarter when Brunson was scoring over Nembhard and doing different things like that, and he didn't. And again, it's not to say that Nembhard is having playing bad basketball. He gave you 15 and 4. I was mostly thrilled with the ability to keep Miles Turner in check. It just don't feel like Miles Turner had the type of game he's been having all playoffs, and he is another guy who I just think has been underrated the entire playoffs, especially at the center position. I don't know too many centers who's been playing as consistent and as good as Miles Turner on both sides of the basketball. Tonight, we were able to keep him in check with 3 of 11 shooting for 6 points. You love to see that, only 7 rebounds. And again, that's another part where we're just going to have to lay our hat on. We're going to have to be a blue-collar team, and we're going to have to wear our yellow hats. And we attacked them on the rebounding glass tonight. We out-rebounded them even without Mitchell Robinson by 11. 52 rebounds to their 41. They did get us on the offensive glass. They came out today and they offensive rebounded heavily. Shout out to Pascal Siakam. He gave them 5 of those, and Isaiah Jackson gave them another 3. But overall, we were able to really control the glass. The free throws is also something that I know Pacer fans and Rick Carlisle and themselves in that locker room, they're going to leave tonight's game looking at the box score, and they're going to realize that 58% from the free throw line is just not going to be acceptable. No matter who you're playing, no matter if Brunson is hurt, healthy, OG is hurt, healthy, 7 missed free throws, 58% clip is just not acceptable for a Pacers team. There was guys that missed free throws that I just wouldn't, like Halliburton missed a free throw, and we all were like, what? What the hell was that? Pascal Siakam took 2 free throws and missed them. Miles Turner, who I think is a good free throw shooter, missed 1. They got to clean it up. Leaving 7 points at the line on the road, again, I never expect teams to shoot 100%, but 58% is too much. It's too much. On the Knicks side, again, got to be happy with OG Anunoby. Got to be happy with the way that Jalen Brunson performed in that second half. Him being on the floor versus not being on the floor is extremely night and day. And I love the scrappiness. I love the grind, the gritty mentality. But I think one thing that is kind of underrated about our team that I don't think gets enough praise is the offense that Thibs has us run. It's not the most complex offense that you've ever seen. It's not the Golden State Warriors from, years ago. But I just love the toss back options. I love the handoffs up top. I love the handoffs from the elbow. I just think that it puts so much pressure on defenses because we're constantly tossing the ball back. You got Brunson to toss it back to Hart and then come off a screen from Hardenstein to Gore. Like, it's just so many different loopholes in something that isn't the most complex, but there's so many different folds, and it's allowing our high IQ players who have great chemistry together to play off one another. So you get Hardenstein that ball at the top of the 3-point line at the top of the key, or you get him at that elbow or at the top of the key in the mid-range area, and you have Brunson coming off of a Josh Hart pin down or something, and he's able to go back door real quick, and boom, there's the easy bucket. You got DiVincenzo coming off of a down screen, and he's able to get a 3, or Josh Hart slips that screen. It's just so many different folds. You got Brunson coming off the Isaiah Hardenstein handoff, and Hardenstein is in that area where 2 guys get sent to Brunson because they want to stop Brunson. He now has that flip shot. You know what I mean? And we're constantly getting defenses to rotate, and now you got corner threes for Dante DiVincenzo. And then, obviously, the offensive rebounds. When you offensive rebound, it puts the defense in a scramble-type mentality because everybody goes to the glass or trying to leak out to play fast basketball like the Pacers do. And all of that does is open up wide open 3-point shots for guys like DiVincenzo, and he's going to take advantage of it. He's been doing it all playoffs. 28 points for him tonight. How many threes? 6 of 12 from 3. He even took that crazy one where he just didn't need to take it, just hold the ball at that point. And then Josh Hart just continues to find ways to be effective. He finds ways to just continue to be aggressive. He had 5 fouls. You wouldn't know by the way he's playing because he's flying all over the court. And I just think that his value continues to increase game by game in the playoffs. We've seen Josh Hart be a monster on the boards. 15 rebounds tonight. We've seen Josh Hart in that first series knock down 3-point shots. He knocked down the series ceiling three in Philadelphia. We've seen him be a scorer. And then you have a night like tonight where they're pressuring, full court pressure on Brunson while he has a sore foot. And Hart is like, I'll be the lead guard tonight. Brunson goes out for an entire quarter. Josh Hart like, I got it. We having a hard time bringing up. I got it. Defensively taking on any challenge. Yeah, he gave up some size to Pascal Siakam, and on a few of those possessions, Siakam was able to eat a little bit there. But just the physicality, though, that he possesses and he brings, and down the stretch, he got some of the big ones because they still allowed, after Precious Achiuwa had got switched on to him, they were doing some plays and some screening where Josh Hart ended up back on Siakam, and I think he did a really good job at the end of that fourth quarter holding his own on him after allowing him to shoot over him for a few times. So, again, I think Josh Hart is probably, how do I put this? I think Anthony Edwards and Jalen Brunson have been by far two of the best players in the playoffs just thus far. Pick whatever you want to pick. I ain't here to argue against those two because Ant-Man has been a dog. But when you talk about perception, value around the NBA, and financial gain, I don't even know off the top of my brain which Josh Hart's contract. Let me look up in real time the length and the money and the value of Josh Hart's contract. But, I mean, when you just look around the league and think about how many guys, because that's what the playoffs are. These moments, these games, players are losing money. Players are gaining money. Guys are creating narratives. Okay, so, of course, boom, he got his extension. Right. So he's on a player option. He was on a player option. We got him an extension, thank goodness. He'll go up to $18 million. He's at 13 right now, 12.9. Basically 13, then he'll jump up to 18, 19, 20. And that last year in 2027 is going to be a team option for $22 million. So we got him on a really good deal because this guy, the way he's playing basketball, if Josh Hart didn't sign this extension and he was on a player option, he would turn down this extension and make a lot of money from the Knicks bringing him back or another team. He's exemplifying exactly what you want out of a role player. I mean, at his size, 6'4"? What they probably gonna try to give him a couple extra inches. I think Josh Hart is really like 6'4". Yeah, they got him at 6'4", 215. March 6th. I didn't realize his birthday was literally the day after mine. I'm March 5th, 1995. He's March 6th, 1995. Look at that. But yeah, 6'4", 215. A guy who's played some guard, a guy who's playing small forward, power forward. He's rebounding like a center. He's outworking guys, offensive rebounding. He's very reminiscent kind of like Andrew Wiggins when he during that last Warriors championship. I think he's even playing even better. But I just remember how valuable Andrew Wiggins was during that run on the offensive glass and the defensive glass and his defense and making timely shots. And there were certain times where the Celtics keyed in on Steph Curry and they needed somebody to alleviate or go and create a shot or get a bucket. And Andrew Wiggins was that guy time and time again throughout that stretch for them. And I feel that same way with Josh Hart. I feel Josh Hart is going to give you maximum effort on the defensive side of the basketball. He's going to get offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, the coast to coast. I love when Van Gundy is calling the game because he constantly is saying and putting it in people's minds. You got Giannis, you got LeBron, and then you got Josh Hart when it comes to coast to coast. But I just think perception, value, Josh Hart is probably the biggest riser in the playoffs. Outside of people that we don't already know, like obviously Brunson and Edwards, but they already looked at as all-star level, all-NBA players. But when you talk about role players that have rose up, the Knicks going to have a few. Obviously, you always look at what the Denver Nuggets guys got. You're looking at guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker out there in Minnesota. You're looking at a guy like Lou Dort with OKC, Derrick Jones Jr. with the Mavs. Josh Hart, I think, leads that pack. I think Josh Hart leads that pack when you talk about some of the most valuable role players. Derek White, too. But I think Derek White, he had some all-star conversations earlier in this year. So I think he did that last year. But I can't speak enough about Josh Hart. Incredible win. Feels good for us to be able to allow our guys to go get some rest. The next time we play, do we play? Let's see. Do we play? I want to see if we play do we play Friday or Saturday? We play Friday. It would have been good to get an extra day of rest, but we play Friday. Our guys got to go in and get that treatment. They got to go get that recovery, and we got to go into Indiana and Indianapolis and make sure we take 2 of these games. If we can go out here and finish the job on the road and get our work done early, that'll be enough time for us to really get some rest, because it's looking like Boston, based off of the first game, they're going to handle theirs. So we need to make sure that we exit our series as fast and as soon as possible and not play around with our food. But I'm loving everything. What a time to be alive right now for Knicks fans. We're 2 wins away from going to the Eastern Conference Finals without Julius Randle, without Bogdanovich, Mitchell Robinson. Now OG is banged up. Now Brunson is banged up. It's just it's a wild ride right now, man. It's a wild ride. As always, I appreciate y'all, man. Like I said before, the Pee Wee the Plug channel is definitely the place you want to be locked into all playoffs. We'll have more basketball to talk and discuss as the playoffs go on. As always, though, I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. I'm out. Peace.